Hi guys, and welcome back once again to the EdWord. I'm your host Eddie, and in today's video I'll be discussing what I thought of the latest and very fun movie that Paramount Pictures has graced us with, the newly released fantasy film Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. Oh, what a fun movie. Very fun, very exciting, and very funny movie. Before I get into all of that, please be warned, this is a spoiler-filled review. I have seen the movie, so I'm going to be talking about it at great extent and length. So if you haven't seen the film and you want to watch it at some point this weekend, do not keep watching or listening to this review, as I will be discussing spoilers, plot details, character stuff, all that jazz. That being said, you have been warned. Let's dive right back into it. First and foremost, I personally don't have much experience with the game Dungeons and Dragons. I have played it several times with different groups of friends and family. I've never been the dungeon master. I've always just been an active participant. So I didn't know much about the game going into this movie, but I quickly realized that's okay, because I believe the characters were original creations, not based off anything pre-existing. The types of characters that they were are characters I believe you can play once you play the role-playing aspect of this game. So my fears were quickly quelled when I realized, okay, this isn't based off any storyline from the game. This is its own story that happens to be based on the game. And it was a very easy story to follow for the most part. Characters were great, amazing creatures, so many awesome creatures, both sentient and wild animals alike. Like we saw this one gal could turn herself into this owl bear thing. There were multiple dragons, scary looking creatures, evil wizards, everything you want in a fun fantasy film. Like, if this wasn't even based off of Dungeons and Dragons and this was just a run-of-the-mill fantasy film with a bunch of random miscreants and characters thrown together to, in a good versus evil story, this would be that movie, whether it has anything to do with Dungeons and Dragons or not. But in this case, it does happen to have something to do with Dungeons and Dragons. So I enjoyed it very much. I was hoping I would like it. I liked it a lot more than I thought I would. I'm pleased to say it kept my interest. I was engaged the whole time. I really liked the characters. It was very funny, and it was very exciting. It had a healthy balance of good storytelling and excitement and action. Amazing looking creatures, like I mentioned before, both practical effects and special effects, which was very cool, and an easy enough to follow story. I mean, parts of it were a bit predictable, but nothing too unforgiving or outrageous. It was still made for a fun, entertaining movie that kept your interest, and I enjoyed it a lot. I will definitely see this again one or two more times on the big screen, because it does have some big screen spectacle moments. I also really appreciated the fact that the story contained a short but necessary quest or journey, because when you play the game as the character that you've chosen to be and the other people that you're with, and there can be a huge group or cast of characters from like 4 to 8 people, you go on a journey determined by the dungeon master, who narrates and tells you everything what happens, but then you have to roll dice to determine what your next move is. I appreciated the fact that this movie seemed to respect or acknowledge the game that it's based off of by having a short but necessary quest or journey, whatever you want to call it, that our characters had to go on. They had to retrieve and find something, go through obstacles to get at it, retrieve said item, and then use the item to defeat the bad guys and save the day. So I was like, oh, cool. Okay, this works for me. We have an actual little journey our characters have to go on in order to achieve their objective and save the day and everything, and get Chris Pine's daughter back and whatnot. So I was like, okay, this movie is respecting where it came from, which is a fun role-playing game that involves dice and a board and whatnot, because it is a pretty fun game. I would recommend it, even if you're not the biggest fantasy person, or if you're not a big fan of the genre, or you know, if you're someone who enjoys board games, I think this would be a fun one for you to play. I think you can make it family friendly, or you can make it raunchy. It's entirely up to your dungeon master, whoever your narrator is. But this was a fun movie. I enjoyed it a lot. I kind of was a little surprised that Hugh Grant's character didn't have more redeeming qualities. You know, I thought that he would perhaps at the last minute save Chris Pine's character's daughter from certain death at the last minute, but no, he was really a selfish, conniving son of a bitch, but who did end up getting caught and doing his time as justice permitted it. But hopefully he's not beyond redemption, because I think he was a likable character thanks to the very charismatic and funny performance by Hugh Grant. And everybody was great. You know, Michelle Rodriguez and Chris Pine were obviously both standouts because they were two of the lead characters. But the guy from Bridgerton was awesome. The kid who was the struggling sorcerer was great. The girl who was in the two It movies, who was the shapeshifter, she had some amazing scenes. I loved the whole chase sequence when they discover she's in the castle and she has to shapeshift her way out of the castle via different animals. That was incredible. Very exciting sequence. So overall, I really liked this movie, and it was surprisingly very funny. Like, the trailer implied there'd be humor in it, but there was a lot more humor in it than I thought that there would be, and that's okay, because it made it all the more entertaining and engaging. Because the whole asking the dead guys, the corpses, questions in the graveyard was super funny, like comedy gold. So I really liked that. And the funny mid-credits scene, too, when the poor corpse is asking someone to ask him a question so he could go back to being dead. Fun movie, and I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. So what did you think of Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Were you expecting more, expecting less? Let me know what you think down below in the comments section. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves is now playing in theaters. Go check it out. It's a fun movie. Have a wonderful rest of your day, everyone. Thanks again for watching. And of course, until next time, may the Force be with you.